Hello everyone. Today I'm going to demonstrate how you can install the Apache Web Server and how you can configure PHP server-side language on Apache Web Server, and finally how you can install the MySQL database and configure it to work with PHP. So each of these software components will be installed separately and configured to work with one another. So we'll install Apache first, then PHP, and then MySQL. So a prerequisite software that we have to install is the Microsoft Visual C++ redistributable. So we'll go to Google and we'll type uh, Microsoft C++ redistributable, and you can go to this first link and click on it, and if you scroll down you can see the available redistributables. I have a 64-bit machine, so I'm going to install the 64-bit version. I think a lot of you have 64-bit machine, so you can download this one. If you're not sure, what you can actually do is you can type control panel and you can go to system, and you can check which version of Windows you are running and what kind of a system you have. As you can see here, I have a 64-bit system, so I'm going to download this one. Right, so you can see it's downloaded. Now I just click on it and install. Right, so I can do the installation. It will take only a few seconds. So this is a prerequisite software for Apache and for PHP to work on Windows. You need this particular redistributable package. So let's wait till it gets installed. Right, you as you can see, the installation was successful. Now what I can do is I can close this. Now one thing you should remember is if this particular redistributable was already installed in your system, Windows will let you know about that, so you don't have to install it again. Okay, so I'll close this. Right, okay, so this part is done. We have installed the Visual C++ redistributable. Next step is to install and configure the Apache Web Server. So to install Apache Web Server on Windows, once again I'll go to Google, and a Windows package is available through a website called Apache Launch. So I'll type Apache Launch, and you can see apachelaunch.com. You can click on that link, and here we can go to downloads, and you can download once again the version which matches your operating system architecture. Uh, I have the 64-bit operating system, so I'm going to download this particular Windows 64 Apache software. So it's about 10 megabytes, as you can see. Now if you go to the official Apache website, I don't think you can find uh, uh, an Apache for the Windows OS. They also redirect you to this particular website. But you can check the official Apache website. But last time I checked, they redirected me to this website to get the Apache web server for Windows, right? So let's just wait till this is downloaded. So as you can see, it's a zip file. So what we can do is once this is downloaded, we can extract the zip file into our Windows partition. So my Windows partition is the C drive. So I can copy and paste it here and extract it. Um, okay, so as you can see in my downloads, I have the uh, zip file for the Apache server. So I can basically cut it, and I'm going to paste it in my C drive. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this and I'm going to say extract here. Right. Now once WinRAR extracts my zip file, you can see I have a folder called Apache 24. Right. So this is my Apache Web Server directory. Now I have to install this. Now the installation has to be done via the command line. You can see here there is a README file, which README text file which has been created. It has instructions on how to do the installation. So what you need to do is you have to go to the command prompt. So here on the search, type CMD. You get the command prompt. You right click the command prompt and run it as the administrator. This is very important. Okay, so run command prompt as the administrator, right? Now what you need to do is you have to go to the folder. You have to go inside this particular folder from the command prompt. So here it's in the C drive. So we go to the C drive, can type cdc colon and forward slash. Now we have to go into cd Apache 20. We have to go to Apache 24 folder. So we type cd space Apache 24. Now in Apache 24, if you type dir, you get a listing of the contents of this directory. And you can see we have a directory called bin, right? You have to go into that directory. So we have to type cd and we have to type bin. Okay, now you can see we are inside the bin directory. Now what we have to do is we have to run a small command. Um, Actually, before we do that, let's go to this Apache 24 folder, right? And there is another folder called configuration or conf. Let's go in there. And here we have the Apache configuration file. We'll right click and open this with Notepad++, or if you have Notepad, you can open it from there. So I'm going to open it in Notepad++. And what I have to do is I have to specify the server name for my Apache web server. If I just scroll down, I will find a directive here which says server name. Um, Let me just find this. Yeah, you can see here it's called server name, line number 227. So I'm going to uncomment this line and I'm going to change the server name to localhost. Now this is very important. Okay, and localhost, and you can see the port is going to be port 80. Uh, so the port at the top also you will see the Apache port uh, is port 80 somewhere. Yeah, you can see here in line 60 the port that we are running the Apache web server is port 80. Okay, so here in line 200 and 227 you have to give the server name as localhost and the port as port 80, right? So save this and close this. Right, now in your command prompt you have to type a command to install Apache as a Windows service. So to do that you can go back to your C drive and you can see a readme file was created when we extracted this zip file. You can open that. All right, here you can see if you scroll down, this is the command that you have to type uh, to install Apache. So you can just copy it and you can paste it here, or you can just type it, right? Okay, as you can see it says Apache 2.4 service is successfully installed. Now what we need to do is we need to start the service for Apache to work. So to start the service, what we can do is here we can go to the Windows services. So we can type services and you can see we get this option where we can go to the services. We click that. Now here you will see the Apache 2.4 service has been created. Now we have to start it, right? So what we can do is we can right click this and we can click start, and now you can see it's starting up and you can see Apache 2.4 service is running. So this means that we have installed the Apache 2.4 web server. uh, so to double check if it is working, if our web server is working, we can go to the web browser and we can type localhost, and you can see we get a message here on the browser which says it works. That means Apache has been installed. Now the important thing is your Apache directory is in your C drive, right? And here we have a folder called htdocs. That is where you should put all your HTML files, images, JavaScript files, PHP files. All those files should go into this htdocs folder, right? So here you can see we have a file called index.html. That is the page that you see here. If we create something like, okay, let's create a HTML file called test.html, and let's create a basic web page. I'm going to open this in Notepad++, and okay, So I'm going to say this is my web page. As you can see, it's a very simple HTML page, nothing there, right? So it's test.html. You can see here in my htdocs folder I have test.html. So to run this file on my web server, uh, all I have to do is I have to say localhost, then I put slash and I say test.html, and you can see it says this is my web page. So you can see I'm running the HTML file on my Apache web server, right? I'm not running it, I'm not double clicking it and running it from the file system. I'm actually running it in my Apache web server, right? Okay. Right, so that's it. We have installed the Apache web server. Now the next step is to install PHP and configure it to work on Apache web server. Let's see how we can do that next. Right, okay. So we have installed the Apache web server. So let's mark it as done. Um, Now what we have to do is we have to configure, we have to install and configure PHP with Apache. So let's do that now. So we'll go to Google and you just type PHP, and we can go to php.net. Right, so in php.net you go to downloads, and we can go to Windows downloads, and we can go to 64-bit thread safe and download the zip file. You can even download this one non thread safe. I'm going to download the thread safe zip file. Okay, we'll click on it and download. So it will take about 3 minutes to download. We'll wait for it to finish. That we'll wait till it finishes downloading. Okay, so PHP zip file was downloaded. So once again, it's in the downloads folder. What we can do is we can create a folder called PHP, and put this zip file in the PHP folder, and we can go inside that and it can extract the files. Right. Now what we can do is we can go back and we can cut this PHP folder and we can paste it in our C drive. Right, so now you can see the PHP folder is in the C drive. Now what we have to do is we have to go into the PHP folder. There is a file called php.ini-development. We can rename it to php.ini, like that. We'll rename it. So this php.ini file, it has some configurations. Let's do those configurations now. So we can right click this and open it in Notepad++ or even Notepad. And if we scroll down, uh, you will see there is a directive in line number 463 which is called error underscore reporting. We have to make a small change here. We have to say uh, not e underscore notice. So we'll copy this part here and we'll put it here. So now this one looks like error reporting equals e underscore all, not e underscore notice. So sometimes we don't want certain warnings to be displayed in PHP. So to achieve that, we put this particular directive. Here we also have to say and, like that. Okay, so that's the first configuration that we have to do in line number 463, right? Now let's scroll down. Okay, now here, starting from line number 909, there are certain extensions that we want to allow to work with PHP. So one of the extensions that we need is MySQL I extension. So we need to enable this MySQL I extension, but we'll enable the other extensions also. So first one is we'll enable the MySQL I extension. So we'll remove this semicolon from here. And for the remaining ones also, we'll remove these semicolons at the beginning, right? So like this. These ones also we can enable. Right. So we enabled a large number of extensions so that certain additional software will work with PHP. Right. We'll save this and I'll close the php.ini file. Right. Now what we have to do is we have to configure Apache to work with PHP. So I'll go to my Apache folder, Apache 24 folder. I have to go to the configuration folder under that, and httpd.conf, that is the configuration file. Let me open that in Notepad++. Here I have to go to the bottom, and there are some lines that I have to add at the bottom. So I have copied these configurations into a text file. Let me show you what they are. Okay, I'll put those configurations into a text file so that you guys can see what they are. Right, so these are the configurations that we have to put in the httpd.conf file. Let me go back to uh, C drive Apache 24 and configuration directory and open httpd.conf file again. Right, so here at the bottom I have to uh, put these configurations. You guys can pause the video and you can write down these configurations, but be sure you write them correctly without any mistakes, right? um, right, so you can copy these and you can paste them here, right? So the first one, load module, PHP 7 module asks Apache to load the PHP module, um, which is in this directory, right? So our PHP directory is in lowercase. I don't think case will be an issue, but anyway, we'll change it to lowercase, right? And PHP initialization directory, that is also in the PHP folder, but again, it's in lowercase. So I'll change it to that, right? We are referring to this directory, C PHP, right? Uh, so if we go to this particular path, CPHP, we should see a file called php7 apache 2 underscore 4.dll. Let's just go to that folder. Here we have that file php7 apache 2 underscore 4.dll, right? The same file that we are referring to here. So this is basically telling Apache to load the PHP 7 module from this path, right? Right. Then this is the PHP initialization directory path, C PHP, and there is another additional configuration that you have to put, right? Okay, now what we can do is we can save this, and we have to restart the Apache service for these configurations to get into effect. So what we can do is, okay, we'll close, we'll keep this open anyway. We'll go to services, and we can right click the Apache 2 underscore Apache 2.4 service and say restart. Right, so there were no issues with the configurations that we added. Apache restarted. Now what we can do is we can okay, we can create PHP files in our Apache web server. So let's go to the C drive. Let's go to Apache 24. htdocs is where we put our files. Let's create a file called test.php, and I'll open it in Notepad++, and we can write some simple PHP code. So we have to put PHP code inside PHP tags, and we can print out something in PHP. We can say echo and PHP testing. This will output the text PHP texting onto the browser when we run this PHP file on the uh, uh, on the web browser under our web server. Now remember, PHP files, we can't just double click them and we can't run them, right? That is not the correct way. We have to run the PHP file on our web server uh, using the web browser, right? So we have to run it in localhost, right? So we have to type localhost, and it's in the htdocs folder. So directly we can type localhost slash test.php. So localhost slash test.php, and you can see it outputs the text PHP testing, meaning that PHP is working, right? We can further confirm this. We can declare a variable in PHP, so we can say dollar variable or dollar var1 equals 56, and we can try to echo that. We can say echo dollar var1. This should output 56, right? As you can see, it outputs 56, right? Now in our httpd.conf file, we put this particular configuration. This allows PHP code to run in HTML files, which is useful. Now if you create okay, you earlier created an HTML file called test.html. Now if you want, you can embed some PHP code into this particular HTML file. So inside the body of the HTML file, you can put PHP tags here, and we can say, okay, dollar var1 equals 56, and you can say echo dollar var1. Now if you run test.html, this PHP code will also get executed in addition to the HTML, normal HTML that you have typed, right? So let's run test.html, which is inside the htdocs folder. Okay, actually it didn't run the PHP code. So I think here uh, in our httpd.configuration file in Apache, we have to, I think here we have to say .html also, .html also here, right? Uh, okay. So now we have to save this. Again, we have to restart the Apache Web Server. Whenever we do a change to the Apache configuration file, we have to restart the server. So I'll go to services. And I'll restart the Apache service. Right, so it got restarted. Now, as you can remember, in this test.html, we put some PHP code. It didn't run earlier. Now it should run after we did that change in our configuration. So if I refresh this page, this PHP code should run. So let me refresh this page. As you can see, the PHP code uh, got executed, right? It outputs the PHP code result 56, right? Okay, and the HTML is, this is my web page. 56, this is my web page. Now you can embed PHP code inside HTML files also. That is also sometimes useful. Uh, right. So remember, the main thing that you have to remember is whenever you do a configuration change in the httpd.conf file, whenever you do a change in this httpd.conf file, you have to restart the Apache web server. Also, I think PHP ini file, which we saw earlier. If you do a change in this file, also you have to restart the Apache web server, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay, so we have now configured PHP with Apache, so that is also done. Now let's install the MySQL database. Okay, so to install MySQL, we have to download the community edition of MySQL. So we'll go to Google and we'll type MySQL community server, and we can click this link. And so this is the one, MySQL community server 8.0.21. So you can download the uh, installer. So we have to go to this link to download the installer. And this one, it doesn't have a 64-bit version. It only has, I think, a 32-bit version. So we can download the 32-bit version, that's okay, and we can install it. So we'll click the download button here. It's around 427 megabytes. Okay, it asks me whether I want to sign up. I'll say no thanks, just start my download. So I'll put it into the downloads folder. Okay, it will take some time to download. We'll come back after it's downloaded. Okay, my MySQL setup file has finished downloading, so I'll go to the downloads folder. So this is the setup file. I'll double click on it and start the setup. Here just click yes. You might get another prompt asking you to start the setup. In that case, click yes. Okay, here it's giving me an optional uh, kind of a notification. You will continue receiving product catalog updates. uh, okay, I don't want this upgrade now. I'll click no. It's an install upgrade. I don't need it. Right, okay. So this is the setup screen. We have several installation options. I'm going to select developer default because I want to do some MySQL development. Sorry, I want to do some web development involving MySQL and PHP. So I'll select the first option, developer default. Um, okay, I don't want to use Python or Excel, so I am not too concerned about these requirements. So I'll just click next. Okay, so now what I can do is I can click the execute button. Okay, here it's downloading the server again. I don't know why they are doing it because I've already downloaded the installer, um, but it's downloading it again. But anyway, I'll let this happen without interrupting. Uh, if you guys go to the next screen, just hang around till I get there. Uh, or if this happens, let it download. If they are downloading everything again, let them download. Don't worry too much about it. So we'll come back after everything has been downloaded and we'll proceed to the next screen. Right, okay, everything is nearly downloaded. Let's see what happens next. Okay, now they start the installation of each MySQL component. So we'll give it some time for that to happen. Now, in your setup, this download might not happen because you have already downloaded everything. In my case, it's downloading everything again. I think updated components of these updated versions of these components are being downloaded. In my case, that's why the earlier download happened. In your setup it might not happen. You will straight away start getting these components installed, most probably, right? So don't have to worry too much about that. So okay, we'll give it some time for the individual components to get installed. Okay, as you can see, all the software has been installed, and we can click next. And we have to do some configurations for our MySQL server. Let's do that. Let's click next. Okay, I'll have it as a standalone MySQL server. And okay, I'll keep these settings as it is. I don't want to do any changes here. Okay, I'll keep the same option for authentication method, use strong password encryption. Now I have to provide a password for my MySQL root account. So I'll enter the password here. Remember your password, don't forget it, right? So this is for the root account in MySQL, right? So the password for the root account you have to enter here. If you want, you can create additional users. I'm not going to do that. I'll just click next. So when Windows starts, I want MySQL to start up. So I'll configure it as a Windows service. I'll keep these options on, right? Right, then I can execute these options, these configurations that I made. So I'll click the execute button. So it will take some time for these configurations to get executed. So we'll come back after all of them have been executed. Okay, as you can see, all the configurations got executed. Um, so what we can now do is we can finish the setup. And okay, there are some actually we have to there is a configuration for the MySQL router, and samples and examples, they will also be configured. You can just click next. We don't have to do any changes for the router configuration, but yeah, we don't need to do that. We will just click finish. And samples and examples, you can click next. We actually need to connect to the server to install the samples, so we can put the password that we entered earlier. And you can see it says connection succeeded, and we can click next. And we can click execute to execute these example scripts. Okay, once this is completed, we'll come back. Okay, the running of scripts that also got executed, the sample script. So we click finish. So our setup is, I think now it's complete. So let's click next. And okay, now you have a software called MySQL Workbench. That is kind of the GUI interface that we can use to uh, work with MySQL. So if you want to create tables or various other database objects, you can use MySQL Workbench. Um, we can run that. We'll actually take a look at that also. So we'll select this option and we'll click finish. Okay, this is kind of the command line. This is a command line environment for MySQL, and this is the GUI software MySQL Workbench, which you can use to log into MySQL. So what you can essentially do is you can go to database and you can say connect to database, and this is our host name 127.0.0.1, or we call it localhost because MySQL is running in your own machine. And what we can do is we can, okay, once we have this connection information, we can click OK, and it will ask us for the password for root. We can type that, and as you can see, using this particular SQL editor and using the other options, we can create databases, right? So here we can if we click this, we can, I think we can create a database. Let's call it test db or something, test underscore db. Okay, we created a database called test underscore db earlier. So to look at that database and the other databases, we can type a command here. We can say show databases, and that will show us all the databases in this server. You can see that test underscore db which we created earlier is also there. So to use a particular database, we have to say use and the name of the database. So here we'll say use test underscore db, and this will start using the test underscore db database. Now what we can do is we can create various database objects like tables, triggers in the test underscore db database. So remember, to use a particular database, to switch to a particular database, we have to say use and the name of the database. Only after that we can create various objects in that database, right? Okay, so our MySQL installation is also done. What you guys can do next is you guys can check if you can connect to PHP with sorry, if you can check whether you can connect to MySQL using PHP, right? That would be the next step. Uh, but our installation, that is basically done. We have installed all these softwares. We have configured Apache with PHP, and we have uh, installed the MySQL database. Now we can start the development. Right. Okay. Thank you very much for listening to my video demonstration. Hope it was helpful. See you guys later.